Hello, good morning everyone. This is Rajiv Saladario, my 2, and welcome to Education 821, the School Personnel Administration. Today, I will be discussing about the salary administration. Wage and salary administration is a collection of practices and procedures used for planning and distributing organizations' compensation programs for employees. It is extremely important to have a well-designed compensation system. Employer compensation is an extremely important issue for every manager. And over the years, compensation has become a complicated issue. Not only are issues of eternal equity and justice, but also the larger issues of a wider economy and the society impinging immediately on the problem on compensation. A properly planned and administered salary system is one of the most important aspects of modern management. Deciding how and what people should be paid is what is covered under salary administration. And for our learning outcomes, discuss the principle of salary administration, discuss some key concepts of position classification, its categorization and levels of classes, the position classification process, and the administrations of the position classification plan. The third one is identify some key concepts of compensation plan. The fourth one is explain why we attach compensation to office. And the last, discuss when do salary starts to accrue. Okay, for the lesson 1, the principle of salary administration. Okay. So there are 3 major principles of salary administration. The first one is the external equity. This principle acknowledges that factor or variables external to organization influence levels of compensation in an organization. So these variables are such as demand and supply of labor, the market rate, and etc. These variables are not kept in consideration while fixing wage and salary levels. This may be insufficient to attract and retain the employees in the organization. The principles of external equity ensure that jobs are fairly compensated in comparison to similar jobs in the labor market. The next one is internal equity. Organizations have various jobs which are relative in value term. In other words, the value of various jobs in organizations are comparative. Within your own department, pay levels of teachers like professor, reader, and lecturer are different as per perceived or real difference between the values of jobs they perform. This relative worth of jobs is ascertained by evaluation. Thus, an ideal compensation system should establish and maintain appropriate differentials based on relative values of jobs. In other words, the compensation system should ensure that more difficult jobs should be paid more. Third is individual worth. According to this principle, an individual should be paid as per his or her performance. Thus, the compensation system, as far as possible, enables the individual to be rewarded according to his contribution to organization. Alternatively speaking, this principle ensures that each individual's pay is a fair comparison to others doing the same similar jobs, like equal pay for equal work. In sum and substance, a sound compensation system should encompass factors like adequacy of wages, social balance, supply and demand, fair comparison, equal pay for equal work, and work measurements. Okay. The Compensation and Position Classification Act of 1989. So the law is a culmination of painstaking study undertaken by the Department of Budget and Management with the end in view of putting into realization the provisions of Section 5, Article 9B of 1987 Constitution, which mandates that Congress that shall provide for the standardization of compensation of government officials and employees, including those in government-owned and or controlled corporations with original charters, taking into account the nature of responsibilities pertaining to and the qualification required for their positions. Okay. Principles governing position classification in compensation system. The Philippine Classification and Compensation System, or PCCS, is governed by the following principles initiated in RA number 6758 as follows. 1. All government personnel shall be paid just and equitable wages in accordance with the principle of equal pay for substantially equal work. Differences in pay shall be based upon substantive differences in duties and responsibilities and upon the qualification requirements of positions. Next, basic compensation for all personnel in the government and government-owned or controlled corporations and financial institutions shall generally be comparable with those in the private sector doing comparable work and must be in accordance with prevailing laws on minimum wages. Next, the total compensation provided for the government personnel must be maintained at the reasonable level in proportion to the national budget. And last, a review of government compensation rates taking into account possible erosion in purchasing power due to inflation and other factors shall be conducted periodically. Okay. Lesson 2. The new classification of position. The Position Classification Plan, or PCP, it consists of occupational services, occupational groups, classes and series, specification or written descriptions of the classes, and the rules and procedures for the administration and maintenance of the plan. Concepts of position classification. The position is the basic unit of an organization. It is a set of current duties and responsibilities assigned by competent authority to be performed by the individual either on full-time or part-time basis. It may be filled or vacant. Positions are grouped by class on basis of similarity of kind and level of difficulty and responsibility of work. As a general rule, only the duties and responsibilities of the positions are considered in position classification and not the incumbent's qualifications, except teaching positions where the incumbent's education, relevant training and experience and other factors are considered. The grouping of classes under the position classification plan. A class consists of all those positions having sufficiently similar duties, responsibilities, and qualifications requirements such that they can be given the same position title, salary grade, and for all administrative and compensations purposes be treated alike. Example, Public Health Nurse 1. Okay. The classes in PCP are grouped into the following. Number 1. A series. A series is consists of one or more classes of positions which are similar as to a specialized line of work arranged by level of difficulty and responsibility. Example, Public Health Nurse. This series is composed of Public Health Nurse 1, Public Health Nurse 2, and Public Health Nurse 3. Next is Occupational Group. An occupational group consists of one or more series of classes of positions in the same or related occupation or occupational area. Example, under the medicine and health services in nursing group. The occupational service. An occupational service consists of occupational groups of broadly related or similar professions or occupations. Example, a medicine and health service is comprised of the following occupational groups, among others: dentistry group, dietetics group, health and sanitation group, medical technology group, nursing group, and etc. So, Categorization of classes. Classes are categorized under RA number 6758 as follows. Number 1, professional supervisory category. So, this category includes responsible positions of a managerial character involving exercise of management functions such as planning, organizing, directing, coordinating, controlling, and overseeing within delegated authority the activities of an organization, a unit thereof, or a group requiring some degree of professional, technical, or scientific knowledge and experience and application of managerial or supervisory skills. This position in this category require intensive and thorough knowledge of a specified or specialized field required through completion of bachelor degrees or higher degree courses. The positions in this category are assigned salary grade 9 to salary grade 33. Example, Engineer 4, Director 2, Elementary School Principal. The second one is the professional non-supervisory category. This category includes positions performing tasks which usually require the exercise of particular professions or applications of knowledge acquired through formal training in a particular field or exercise of a natural, creative, and artistic ability or talent in literature, drama, music, and other branches of arts and letters. Also included are positions involved in research and applications of professional knowledge and methods to a variety of technological, economic, social, industrial, and governmental functions. In the performance of technical tasks auxiliary to scientific research and development, and in performance of religious, educational, legal, artistic, or literary functions. This position required true knowledge in the field of arts and sciences or learning acquired through completions of at least 4 years of college studies, and the position in this category are assigned salary grade 8 to salary grade 30. Examples, tourist receptionist 1, chemist 1, college professor, university professor. The third is the sub-professional supervisory category. This category includes positions performing supervisory functions over a group of employees engaged in work along technical, manual, or clerical lines which are short of professional work, requiring training and moderate experience, or lower training but considerable experience and knowledge at the limited subject matter or skills in arts, crafts, or trades. These positions required knowledge acquired from secondary or vocational education or completion of up to 2 years of college education. The positions in this category are assigned salary grade 4 to salary grade 18. Examples, bookbinder 4, electrician foreman, and chief bookbinder. Number 4, sub-professional non-supervisory category. This category includes positions involved in routine or repetitive work in support of office or fiscal operations, or those engaged in crafts, trades, or manual work. These positions usually require skills acquired through training and experience of completions of elementary education, secondary and vocational education, or completions of up to 2 years of college education. The positions in this category are assigned salary grade 1 to salary grade 10. Example, draftsman 1, proofreader 2, dental aid. The position classification process. So the position classification process is a series of actions leading to a grouping of positions into classes or to determination of the appropriate class for a given position using position classification factors as guides. There are 3 steps in classification process. They are fact-finding, analysis, and evaluation. Okay, fact-finding involves gathering of facts about the duties and responsibilities of a position, while the analysis is a critical examination of duties and responsibilities and other facts about the position. The process involves selecting, organizing, commenting upon the duties and responsibilities of position in terms of position classification factors to determine the distinguishing characteristics of a position. Next is evaluation. After the duties and responsibilities and other facts about positions have been reviewed and analyzed, the next step is to evaluate it. Example, to determine its relative worth. The rules and procedures in administration of the PCP. Okay. The original classification actions applied to positions classified for the first time, such as new positions. The first one is reclassification. Reclassification is a form of staffing or modification position classification action which may be applied only when there has been a substantial change in regular duties and responsibilities of incumbent the position, and which may result in a change in any or all the position attributes, position title, level, and salary grade. The reconsideration. An agency may be request reconsideration of the classification or reclassification of a position if it believes that the classification or reclassification action made was erroneous on the grounds that pertinent facts were not considered in the evaluation, and that such omission caused the classification error. Next, the upgrading and retitling. Upgrading involves upward change in the salary grade allocation for the class and consequently all positions allocated to the class, without change in each title, if the duties and the responsibilities and other facts about the class so warrant. Retitling involves a change to a more appropriate title of a class and consequently all positions allocated to the class without change in salary grade. Next, the lesson 3, basis of salary. The basic concept of compensation. The compensation plan or CP under RA number 6758 is an orderly scheme for determining rates of compensation of government personnel. It was crafted to attract to motivate and retain good and qualified people to accomplish the Philippine government's mission and mandates, to encourage personal and career growth, and to reward good performance and length of service. To achieve these goals, the CP has a mix of compensation components, namely basic pay of salaries, fringe benefits, incentives, and non-financial rewards, which provide reasonable levels of compensation packages within existing government resources and are administered equitably and fairly. Okay. So we have here the diagram of a total compensation. This is the concept of compensation. So we have there the total compensation. This represents all financial and non-financial rewards and entitlements arising from employment relationship. The intrinsic reward, these are derived from the work environment, which are valued internally by an individual, like quality of work, like job satisfaction, challenges or challenge personal and professional growth opportunities, feeling of belonging, freedom to act, visionary leadership, and the like. Next is the intrinsic rewards or entitlements. These comprise all compensation benefits, both monetary and non-monetary, and received directly or indirectly by the employee. So we have there the examples of intrinsic rewards, the direct compensation and indirect compensation. The direct compensation These are cash compensation items which are either fixed or variable and are paid to an employee for performance of work. This includes basic pay, cash allowance, and fringe benefits. We also have here the direct compensation, fixed, variable compensation. Next, the indirect compensation. These are usually non-cash or in-kind benefit items that contribute to employees' welfare, standard of living, and personal development. These include protection programs such as insurances, paid leaves, prerequisites, and training programs. So we have here the protective and the paid leave. Under the protective, we have here health insurance, retirement benefit, employee compensation insurance. Well, in paid leave, we have here vacation leave, sick leave, special privilege leave. So fixed compensation, these are cash compensation items which are regularly granted to all employees. Example are basic salaries, wage, the fringe benefits, PERA, ADCOM, and uniform allowance. This is regularly given by the government to all public employees like teachers. We receive the uniform allowance of 6,000 pesos per year. In the variable compensation, these are cost compensation items which are granted to employees based on certain qualifications or renditions of special services. Examples are hazard pay, honoraria, night shift differential pay, and overtime pay. So we also have here the subsistence allowance. The hazard pay, these are compensation that teachers receive, especially teachers who assign in a power plant area. Okay. Variable compensation, yun. Basic pay. So, yung salary is referred to basic pay for work performed by an employee paid on a monthly basis. This is different with the wage because wage is refers to basic pay for work performed by an employee paid on a daily or hourly basis. While fringe benefits, this refers to cash compensation benefits which be given to an employee to supplement the basic pay. This includes cash allowance, bonuses, premiums, payments, and etc. Okay, government compensation shall be governed with the following general guidelines. The general guidelines of government compensation. Each class of position in the position classification plan shall be assigned a salary grade. This is one example of the general guidelines of the government compensation system. Number 2, compensation for part-time services rendered shall be computed proportionately. So, equal work, equal pay. Across the board, salary or wage adjustment shall be granted to all employees. So, all in the board salary or wages adjustment shall be granted to all employees, whether he is in the higher position or in a lower position. Salary and other compensation adjustments, including the grant of new benefits, shall be covered by appropriate legal basis or authority. So, just like in the case of the teacher, so our legal basis is the Salary Standardization Act 5. As a general rule, no official or employee shall be receive a salary equal to or higher than the salary of his or her immediate supervisor, except when otherwise authorized by law, rules, and regulations. So, for example, teacher 1, so his salary is lower than the TIC or the principal, the supervisor. Unless otherwise specifically approved by the President, no person shall be appointed in the government under the guise of voluntary service with compensation below the hiring rate for the position, provided that the application of this provision may be waived to authorize voluntary service in the armed forces of the Philippines or in the connection with relief operations. Okay, so we have here the content of compensation plan. So here are the content of the compensation plan in the Philippine compensation system. The first one is the salary schedule. The salary schedule under CP is a table of salary grades, with each salary grade consisting of several salary steps with corresponding money values. So in the 4 tranches of the Salary Standardization Act, so in the table that is given in that compensation plan, the salary schedule from teacher 1 to teacher to salary grade 1 to salary grade 33. Salary grade represents a level of difficulty and responsibility of work. The present salary schedule consists of 33 salary grades from salary grade 1 to salary grade 33. And the salary grade 1 to 32, there are 8 steps. Each salary grade 1 to 32 consists of 8 salary steps, which are used to provide incentives for length of service in the position. Salary grade 33 has only 1 salary step. The first salary step is the minimum or hiring rate. Second to 7 salary steps are the intermediate salary rates. The 8th step is the minimum salary rate. So meaning, if we enter the Department of Education as teacher 1, okay, we will be compensated with the minimum pay. So hiring rate, teacher 1, salary grade 11, step 1. So after that, followed by step 2 to step 7, salary steps are immediately salary rate. So mag-iiba yung salary rate. And the last step for teacher is to from teacher 1 to from grade 1 to grade 32 is the 8th step which is the maximum salary rate. All rates in the salary schedule represent full compensation for full-time employment in 40-hour work week regardless of where the work is performed. The daily wage represents full compensation for full-time employment in the 8-hour work day regardless of where the work is performed. The daily rate shall be computed based on the authorized actual monthly rate for the position divided by 22 days. Okay. Salary rules. The rules governing the implementation of salary schedule are as follows. The hiring rate. The promotion. The first step in salary grade for given class or position shall be in the hiring rate for new employees. No employee shall receive a salary less than the hiring rate of the position. Second, promotion. This is a government from a lower level position to a higher level position within the same or in another organizational unit in the same department or agency. Next is demotion. This is a movement from a higher level position to a lower level position within the same or another organizational unit in the same department of agency. Next is transfer. This is a movement from one position to another, from one department or agency to another, or from one organizational unit to another within the same department or agency. If the transfer is to higher level position, the salary rules on promotion shall apply. Meaning, example, teacher 1 sa Katarman District, transfer siya sa Mondragon with the same division. So that is transfer or a movement from one position to another from the same agency. Next is reclassification of position. This is a form of position classification action which may result in change in position title or position level and may or may not involve a change in salary grade. So, for example of reclassification. So, teacher 1 okay, so teacher 1 becomes a teacher school in charge. His position from teacher 1 classified as the in charge or the OIC, but his or her salary grade will not change. The reorganization. This involves the restructuring of the organization and staffing of government agencies for the efficient conduct of their functions, services, and activities. An employee who holds a permanent position in the old organization's staffing pattern and is reappointed to a lower level position in the new staffing pattern shall continue to receive his or her actual salary at the time of reorganization. Reemployment. An employee who was separated from a service because of reduction in force, reorganization, voluntary resignation, or any non-disciplinary action such as dropping from roles and is reemployed shall be paid the hiring rate or the first step of the salary grade of the position. For example, teacher 1 resigned after how many years and then reapply, so that is reemployment. So, for example, siya ay teacher 2 when he resigned, and when he reapplied he becomes teacher 1 ulit, so that is reemployment. So his or her basic salary will start at teacher 1. Reinstatement. An employee who was charged and terminated from government service but was subsequently reoxygenated and reinstated shall continue to receive his or her previous. Okay. So for example, teacher 1 was charged of any violation or criminal liabilities and is or maybe terminated. When he come back to his office or work, he will also receive his salary. State. Other compensation allowance and benefits. Step increment is the increase in salary from step to step within the salary grade of a position. The grant of step increments to government personnel based on their lengths of service is pursuant to Item 8 of Joint Senate House of Representative Resolution Number 1 Series of 1994 as adopted under Executive Order Number 164 or the adopting a revised compensation and classification system in the government dated March 8, 1994. The Professional Economic Relief Allowance or PERA is a 500 monthly allowance authorized under the pertinent general provision in the Annual General Appropriation Act or GAA. It is granted to augment the government employees' pay due to a rising cost of living. The latest monthly PERA of public school teacher is 2,000 pesos per month. Uniform or clothing allowance. Uniform or clothing allowance authorized under the pertinent general provision of the annual GAA is granted to cover the cost of uniform or clothing of government employees to identify them with their mother or agency. Like, for example, teachers, we receive our clothing allowance during summer or the first quarter of the year. Year-end bonus and cash gift. The year-end bonus and cash gifts are intended as a year-end premiums to government personnel for satisfactory and dedicated service. They are collectively referred to as the year-end benefit, authorized under Republic Act No. 6686 as amended by RN No. 8441. The liberalization of grant thereof is unauthorized pursuant to the pertinent general provisions in the annual GAA. the productivity incentive benefits. Okay. This benefit is a cash award authorized under Administrative Order Number 161 dated December 6, 1994 to reorganize or to recognize individual personnel productivity and performance which contributed to attainment of agency goals and targets. Performance includes conduct and behavior in the discharge of the duties of the public office. Okay, so as you can see here, this is the first trans-monthly salary schedule for civilian personnel of the national government effective January 1, 2020 in peso. So from this is the salary schedule. So you can see in the first column we have here the salary grade from 1 to 33. So for teacher, we are in the salary grade 11. From our step 1 is 22,316 in the first tranche of 2020. Okay, the step 2 is 22,600 and so on and so forth. Okay, so we are now in lesson 4, why we need to attach compensation to office. The types of leave credits, but before we discuss that, why we need to attach compensation to office, or why it needs to attach a compensation to office. Okay, so for example of attachment in the office is the leave credits. So we have here the types of leave credits. First one is the vacation leave. Vacation leave is granted for personal reasons, the approval of which is contingent upon the necessities of the service. The sick leave, granted only on the account of sickness or disability on the part of employee or any member of immediate family. Next is the terminal leave, applied by official or employee who intends to serve his or her connection with his or her employer or agency. Maternity leave. Every woman in the government service who rendered an aggregate 2 years or more shall be entitled to maternity leave up to 105 days with full pay. The maternity leave or paternity leave, a married male employee entitled to paternity leave of 7 working days for the first 4 deliveries of his legitimate spouse with whom he is cohabiting. Teacher's leave, entitled to proportional vacation pay or PVP of 70 days summer vacation plus 14 days Christmas vacation. Parental leave, benefits of 7 days granted to a solo parent pursuant to RA 8972 to enable said parent to perform parental duties and responsibilities where physical presence is required. Next is the 10-day leave. Any woman employee in a government service regardless of an employment status who is victim of violence as defined under Section 3 of the Act. Okay. So, before we discuss the guidelines on the grant application service credits of the teacher, so again, why we need to attach the compensation to office, diba? Services rendered by the employee, especially when he or she work out of his or her working time or day, must have to be compensated accordingly. The government gives compensation and other benefits to encourage employees to attract and improve performance toward their work assigned. Okay. So let us now come to guidelines on grant of vacation service credit to teachers. This is one benefits to the personnel in case of emergency situation calls. Service credits refers to leave credits earned for service rendered on activities during summer or Christmas vacation or in the course of regular school year as authorized by the proper authority. Vacation service credits are used to offset absences on account of illness. Workday service credit or one workday service credit is used to offset 1 day of absence. So that is why we need to attach compensation to office, because some of these compensation privileges is used to offset absences in terms of illness. So here, service credits may be granted for the following activities for the teachers. First, service rendered during registration in election days, as long as these are mandated during under existing laws. Next, service rendered during calamity and rehabilitation when school used as evacuation center. So yun na nga, pag may bagyo, so if there is a need of teachers to facilitate or to assist in the evacuation and the school is used for the evacuation center, so there is a service credit that earned by a teacher. Service rendered in connection with the conduct of remedial classes during summer or Christmas vacation or outside of regular school. For example, there are pupils or students that need a remedial class during summer and Christmas vacation, so the teacher who served or who rendered service in that time will receive or earn a service credit. Next, service rendered in connection with early opening of the school. For example, the first day of service. So when the school conducted the first day of service, for example, brigada or any other activities related to the opening of the first day of service of the class, the teacher will earn a service credit. Next, service rendered during school sports competitions outside the regular school days. For example, if the activities or any competitions that will be held outside the schools and outside the regular school days, the teacher will receive or will earn a service credit. Next, service rendered by those who train teachers in addition to the normal teaching loads. So these are also earned by the services earned by the credits earned by the teacher. Next, teaching overload not compensated by honoraria. So overload si teacher. So there are, aside from teaching, there are any other auxiliary services that teacher assigned or assignment, so he or she will be earned a service credit. Next, teaching in non-formal education classes in addition to teaching in formal education classes carrying a normal teaching load. So yun nga, this is related with the previous guidelines. Next, conduct of testing activities held outside the school days. For example, when the teacher is assigned to conduct a NAT, and this NAT is scheduled on Saturday outside the school. For example, teacher 1 as a teacher A, grade 6 or grade 3 will conduct a NAT in the other school, and the schedule is in the weekends, so he or she will earn a service credit. Next, attendance participation in special adapted projects and activities which are short-term in duration, such as English, science, and math. Mentors training, curriculum writing, workshop planning, workshop, etc. if such are held during summer vacation or during weekends. So for example, the division office conducted a division seminar of 10 days including weekends. So the weekends that are covered in the 10-day seminar the teacher will earn such service credits. Okay, so we're already done with the lesson 4. Let's come now to lesson 5, when salary start to accrue. Okay, so both employees in public and private organization or department receive salary depending to the class level of classification. Public employees starts their salary as they receive their appointment from the Civil Service Commission, and so the salary starts to accrue when the teacher or when the employee on he or his first day of service start, then his salary also starts to accrue. Okay, the accrued salary. Accrued salaries are salaries which has been incurred but not yet recorded in the accounting ledger at the end of the accounting period. So accrued salary, these are for example, si employee, he starts his service in the department or the organization. As the time he enters the department, he start working, his salary, for example, is start to accrue. An example to this accrued salary is, for example, Mr. Saludar is paid salary of 22,316 per month, which is paid on the 25th day of the month. At the end of the month, the Department of Education owes him 5 days to pay, which is equivalent to more or less 16% of his full month salary. The department accrues a salary expense of about 1,066 or 666 to reflect his unpaid portions of his salary. The entry is reversing entry, which means that it reverses at the beginning of the next month by the actual payroll to Mr. Saladario. This accrued pay may be accompanied by an additional entry to accrue for any related payroll. For example, so teachers receive their salary on the 25th day of the month. So but he started his work on the first day, the date, for example, January 1. So they will be receiving their salary at the 25th, but January has 31 days. So therefore, when the teacher receive its salary at the 25th day of the month, the remaining days will be compensated in the following month. So that is what we call the reverses at the beginning of the next month by the actual payroll. So yung accrual o accrued salary niya, accrue meaning naipon, accrue. So therefore, the remaining days from 26 to the last day of the month will be compensated to the following month. That is accrued salary. Another example here in the slide. So we have here 3 months from November 2020, December 2020, and January 2021. For example, the employee is a driver in the private company. So the driver started his work on November 1, Sunday. So meaning his salary starts to accrue at that day, but his salary, his payday is on the 20th day of the month. Okay, so meaning every 28th of the month he will be receiving his salary. But since he is a driver, for example, his service is during, or he render his service during weekdays from Monday to Friday, and he receives a salary per day of 500 pesos. Therefore, he must be receiving 2,500 per week from Monday to Friday. So since he worked, for example, here in November 2020, from November 1 to November 20. So how many days does he have? How many days will he receive during this time interval from date of November 2 to November 20? So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so there are 14 days of working days, and on the 20th day he will receive his salary. Okay, now since 20th day yung payday niya and 15 days lang yung yung cut offs, so he will just receive 10 days work weekdays. So 500 times 10 is 5,000. So in this case, the remaining days from 16 to 20 will not be compensated. It will be compensated in the following month, the December 2020, specifically December 5, 2020. So his salary accrued in this time interval. So therefore, is the remaining salary of the driver will be compensated on the December 5th day of the December 2020. And after that, rolling na naman. So he will be working naman from 7 to 11 and the cut-off of 15. So 7 to 14 lang yung ibibigay ng employer sa kanya. So again, it reverse na naman to the following month from 15 to 20 na naman. So accrued na naman. Tapos January 5 na naman siya ma-receive ng kanyang salary for the month of December. So yung 5, but the accounting reporting in accounting sa ledger na sa during the whole year lang yung kanilang reporting. So hindi makakasama yung salary ni driver na cover pa rin ng December 2020, which is be compensated on January 2021. So ang mangyayari, yung salary niyo from 21 to the last to January 5 is accrued salary na ipon. So that is how the salary starts to accrue in accrued salary. That's all. Thank you.